Now, away from COVID-19, let's go to a report that is trending on social media, and it's a report by the Social Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, stating that over 27.4 million Nigerians earn less than 100,000 naira per annum. This was disclosed in a statement entitled "How Corruption is Plunging Nigerians Further into Poverty," and is signed by the Deputy Director of SERAP, Kolawole Oluwadare. According to the report, budget fraud and other illegal actions are responsible for the failure of service delivery to the Nigerian people. Now, this report, 61 pages report, also discloses that corruption contributes to poverty and consequential suffering of people living in poor neighborhoods. Now, let's break down the report a bit into numbers. 57.3% of people living in poor neighborhoods are youths between the age of 18 and 35 years old. Now, 48.9% of people living in poverty, that is more than 27 million Nigerians, earn less than 100,000 naira. 27.9%, that is more than 15 million. Those are the people that earn between 100,000 and 200,000 per year. All right, now 10.7% earn between 200,000 and 300,000 per month. 12.5% earn more than 300,000 naira. We're talking about per annum, not monthly. Now, 65% of people who are living in poor neighborhoods, according to this report, stay in either one-room or two-bedroom accommodation. Up to 4% of people living in poverty, that is about in excess of 2 million people, have one physical disability or the other. Now, in light of this reality, SERAP is calling on the president to promptly propose an executive bill to amend the Nigerian Constitution of 1999 as amended to recognize Nigeria's socio-economic rights, including the rights to an adequate standard of living, education, quality healthcare, and clean water as legally enforceable human rights. Okay, so gentlemen, let's talk. 27.4 million Nigerians averagely earning less than 100,000 naira in a year.
When you divide 100,000 by 12, it's going to give you about over, let's say, around
about 8,000 naira
per month.
8,500 thereabouts.
I can tell you that this research is good. At least it gives us a leverage of what we are looking at. But it's more than that, by the virtue of two things. One, majority in the number of schools. You remember that the day we talked about schools in Lagos, you remember what the permanent secretary, even the commissioner, said. The number of unregistered schools, let's use Lagos as an example, is more than the registered one. In fact, over. Majority of all those schools, only few of them pay above 8,000 naira. When you now count that number of people in every state, across the state, across the country, you know you are going to get even over more than this. Then let's now go to those people that are doing that. If they don't work in a day, they don't eat. Some they do not have 8,000 naira per day.
Daily economy.
So those kind of people. Then another thing again, when you now look at it generally, you will know that Nigerians, let me put it like this, many Nigerians are suffering. I don't know, maybe you noticed, last week, I have to take some certain commercial buses to some certain area. And what am I looking at? I'm looking at how people react to issues. And I got nothing less than 20 cases. Something that can be corrected. You see people who flare up and they'll be fighting. Oh, I wanted to bypass him. They were driving, I wanted to bypass him and he blocked me. He didn't scratch any of his car though, and both of them will park and they'll be fighting. You wanted to give me change. No, the money is not so that good. Okay, change it. I won't change it. They will be fighting. So, on what Sarah said is...
So if I hear you correctly, this is actually bearing on the mental health.
I'm telling you the way people reason, the way people think. So having more than 20, because to me it's more than 27.4. It's more than that. Now putting it into that consideration, we now look at there is fire on the mountain. Let's talk about housing. We should not even mention Lagos. Even those people you call remote areas, if you know how much a room or 2-bedroom flat, then is another thing. It's now called across all the states, apart from those people living in villages, because they are the ones living in Nigeria. Yes, because they eat good food and whatever, at least to some certain level. When you now look at it, what Sarah was demanding is inside the constitution. The only just problem there is that it is not suable. That is what they should do. It's part of the constitution. In fact, fourth schedule really stipulates what a government should do. Healthcare is a fundamental human right. Security, fundamental human right. Good economic and social economic structure is fundamental, but it is not suitable. What Sarah should be looking at is that they should amend the constitution, make all these fundamental human rights suitable, that if you can sue me, that I hold a business, I'm not paying tax, and you want to sue me, I should be able to sue a government if the money that I've been paying is not well utilized, that can take care of my health care facilities, at least to some barest minimum. If I'm paying tax and the road that passed through my house is not being taxed, I should have the right to sue them for damages so far I'm still paying that particular road. So this is going to make them to even try more. Then if we are talking about this, we should not focus it only on federal government. States also inclusive. Local government also inclusive. They must recreate a social economic program for the residents within their domain. Because we discover that if you see, the only politicians, elected politicians that are enjoying this our type of democracy most is the governors. If you look at it critically, they are enjoying more than any other person. Let me break it down for you. In Nigeria, it is valuable. It is okay for you to be a governor than be a president. And I will tell you the reason. Number one, as a governor, everybody is looking up to you in that particular state. You determine who goes to the Senate. You determine who goes to the House of Rep. You determine the House of Assembly. You determine the local government chairman. You determine the councillors. You determine the council councillors. The National Youth Council, in every local government, you politicize it, you bring anybody you want there. The traditional rulers in that state, you put them together, you militarize it, you politicize it, and you control everything. So
more or less you're like an emperor.
And that is the reason why you see that they still want to appoint a minister for the president. And another thing again is that if you are talking about the level of corruption, so endemic, I didn't say it is not in the federal. I'm not saying that. I'm not exonerating federal. But it's more endemic. It is more killing, eating to the flesh and to the bone in states, even more than the federal. So if you are talking about social program, our federal government should inculcate it. As I agree totally. The state also must inculcate it. We must be able to, the way they spread out the security vote, they should spread out for us what they want to do for social economic program for the residents. Then the local government, that is another emperor that has turned himself into emperor. Every local government chairman, the way the governor sees himself as emperor, local government chairman, also the way some certain local government put hand into the hands of Oba within their domain, into the balance within their domain, the way they talk, the way they react, the way they spend the money allocated for that particular local government. Also social programs, not the welfare of saying I'm giving 30,000 naira to people. That is not what we are talking about. We are not talking about you put people together, give them 50,000, go and share it, or I'll give you money. That's not what we are talking. We are talking about a designed social welfare program that even if I don't have money, I can go to the health center and be treated. My children can go to school even if I don't have money.
All right, thank you, Mr. Adegbenro. So let's put this in perspective, Femi. if this number of Nigerians earn 100,000 naira per year, that's averagely about 8,300 naira every month. What can 8,300 naira do for, you know, an average Nigerian family in today's economy?
Let me be frank that I do not agree completely with Serap's position.
Oh, okay.
I need to start with that.
Go ahead.
That I do not agree completely with them, but there is an element of truth in what they are trying to profess, meaning that yes, there are Nigerians that earn below that. But the truth of the matter is that every time we come up with statistics, we look mostly into the formal sector. We don't look into the informal sector, where so much of money trades hand, even by the hour. In fact, the truth is that if we sit back to analyze, some of us, they think are gainfully employed, that rides, I don't know, maybe that rides well and collect probably something fat at the end of the month, and you now sit down to analyze with somebody that comes into your house to do something within 1 hour and gets 5k or 3,005, and look at how many places he has. In the informal sector is actually, but is earning so much. But the truth is that there's a problem with how to tax. There's a problem with how to get returns in and the sad part is that they are also not financially they are not too financially enlightened and disciplined to actually bring to fore the benefit and the advantage their means of earning has
of their sector.
Yes, okay. Of their sector. So that's my position. Then I'll look at it from another angle. There's also the entertainment sector that is booming so well, that there are quite a lot of units within it that earn so well just within few minutes, few hours. But the truth is that you can't really define those scopes and put them statistically. Yes, because it's not completely well structured like the former. So if you look at how our youths are tending towards almost all of these sectors that we've mentioned that cannot really be, how many youths will you sit down and say, come, I want to employ you, 20k, sit down in the office? Most of them will not even agree with you. I don't know if you get my point. So my point is, yes, it is true, but the truth is it does not represent the average thing that is happening. But
do you think it's worse than Serap's report? Is that what you're saying? You think it's worse, or you think it's actually better than this report?
Okay, what I'm trying to say is that it's like a cup being half full.
Okay.
So yes, so there is the formal sector.
All right, so you have a problem with the report because you think it's not complete.
Yes, I think yes, it's not an holistic view.
Not that it's not true.
No, not that it's not true.
So
I need
all right, I get you.
Going forward, I must say that some of the things they've identified is actually heart-wrenching and it's factual. And it's high time the leadership of this country needs to start. See, I'm disappointed that we are more reactive than proactive. It's until something hits us and then we are probably almost down that we now begin to, you now see the speaker begins to do intervention. The Senate president, I don't know when we will grow out of. So I don't know when we get one. I don't know when we will grow. When we need leaders that will sit down and say, oh, in the next 6 months, because of this policy, this and this is what is likely to happen, and there's need for us to do ABC to cushion the effect of what will happen, so that when it now happens, our people will see us as thinking leaders. But the truth is, we don't. So going forward, like my brother said, we have laws. Implementation is our problem. So adding to those laws left to me will not even get us anywhere. Will not get us anywhere. Thank God 2023 is at the corner. It's high time we began asking leaders that are showing intentions at the moment solutions they have. But see, don't come to tell me because you dug borehole in my community and the way we should pay you back is by sending you to the
100 jam forms.
Yes, for students. And see, we have really gone past that. So going forward, solutions right now. I've been able to strike a balance between the formal and informal sector.
Yes,
and
I completely agree.
Yes, and why some of these, the statistics needs to be all encompassing. But however, solving the problem of hunger, solving the problem of starvation, solving the problem of housing, solving the problem of, see, for some of us, for every problems, we look at the economic advantage we can get when we invest money in it. Well, Nigerians, mentalism from our leaders, we have this depending on handouts dependence on handout mentality, that we want to depend on foreign grants. Even at the grassroots, they want to depend on that 5k the politician wants to give. That we now don't want to really follow the right process that will benefit all. Once you collect 5k and you can spend and manage and throw party for 5 days, that problem, whatever, it's off for that moment. Then in the next week, you begin to join others to cry, but you will not speak up that somebody already greased your palm few days ago. So you see, we need to start looking at the solutions to our problems from a wider perspective. My sister, viewers at home, going forward, honestly, young Nigerians, we need to, now that we know that sector is not yet regulated, see, this is the time that we have to now use that money to invest in other sectors. I'll give a good instance. Do you know that the top 5 banks in Nigeria, I did a statistic, what their worth is actually competing with one tech firm, the worth of one tech firm. That means the future of the worth of companies has moved from whatever everybody can begin to analyze, and we have to start looking at those sectors that has not been formalized. There's so much money, but those guys are not formalized. There's no structure.
Can I jump in? Is it safe to say the informal sector feeds off of the formal sector? Whether directly or indirectly?
No.
Is it safe for me to say that?
The both really work with each other. Because one thing there is that even the informal sector we are talking about, a carpenter that did a job of 5,000 naira for you, in 3 months he may not do any other job. In 3 months, and he can have 2 million naira within 2 hours.
And in the next 1 year.
And in the next 1 year he may not see again. So now divide it into what they are going to need, and look, and being financially disciplined is another one. But if you look at it, both formal and informal sector, that's why you see that even in a larger economies, macro and microeconomics, they work in hand. Although in microeconomics there is tendency of changing of money changing hands within every second. That money may not be voluminous, but if cumulatively it could be big. But what the one of the macro could even be once in a month, once in 3 months, that could be huge. But at the same time, don't forget that those people that really gain from macro economy, by the time they need to work around, they still have to depend on look at the bank we are talking about. Let me tell you one thing. The way you cannot compare banks with all those tech companies is this. One, Yoruba used to say, Owo elewo, legun no. That is the bank. Bank is not rich. They are just taking money from people, keeping it for them, taking some little, returning it to them, and when you need, you come and take it. It's not that they are rich. That's why you see that if everybody, all the investor, everybody collect his money from bank, you discover that they do not have. Even the kind of physical structures they have, they get it out of the little they are getting, and to now build it, and the what they invest on. But what is important there as a country is this: both formal sector and informal sector, if we have a very good social economic program, for the fact that you are a CEO of a bank or of an agency of government, and I'm a poor primary school teacher, I don't want to go to the hospital you go to, no, because we are not paying the same tax. But I just want to go at my level. I should be able to go to the health center, take any drugs I want, and I should be treated. I'm okay.
Be attended to. Okay, all right. Now, Femi, 2023 is still a bit far off. Even though it's close, it's still a bit far off. You get what I mean?
Yes.
I get the importance of your campaign for the Nigerian youth to empower themselves by going to get their voters card. That is understandable. But for an average family who is deprived of basic needs, 2023 is like 20 years. What are the immediate things that needs to be done? Because all these things Serap has highlighted, we're talking about access to education, qualitative health care, clean water. I'm sure we all know there's an outbreak of cholera. We are still battling COVID. And what causes this is, contaminated water. Clean water, basic things that a human being requires to live. What is the way forward? How do we solve this issue?
I agree with you that to an average Nigerian, 2023 is very, very far. But we must always look at solutions from the short term, medium term, and the long term. So probably, let's say what I was saying is probably in the medium term. Then probably the short term is the following. One, there is a need for complete overhauling of skills. I have a challenge with certain Nigerians. Skills. Okay. I have a challenge with certain Nigerians that had some certain skills that were really high paying years back, but do not want to, but now those skills do not bring so much, but they want, despite the fact that I agree that the economy is going down, but there are skills that you can add on to what you have.
For instance,
I'll give you a good instance. Now, number one, back then, let's use this field that we are. Back then, when you graduate studying English, or let's say you do public administration, or let's even come to journalism or something, you know, mass communication, good. You feel like, oh, once you get a job, even if the pay is not good, you will get some endorsement from people that want you to wear their clothing or selling stuff. But right now, you see, if you study English and if you do not have copywriting, which is a skill on its own, if you don't learn copywriting, you will not do well. You will just be like an average person that will be good to be employed as a classroom teacher. Now you will not be feeling like, oh, I'm a graduate, but what's wrong? Why am I not behaving like? But the truth is that, fine, this certification is good, but have you added the required skill to make you excel with that certification you have?
Wow.
I have a big problem. I'll give you a good instance. You studied computer science like I did probably, and you're parading yourself with certificate. Oh, I'm a graduate of computer science, but you can't even code. Because in schools, yes, they teach for Trans 77, they teach irrelevant things, but you are now depending on that certification when you're supposed to add the required skill.
So it's about you upgrading yourself.
That's the point. Okay. There's a need for upgrade. You look at the field that you are.
Times are changing.
You are taking it from my mind. 2 days ago, I told some set of students, I said, you may not be lucky the way we have. True. Because from year one, that was when I got my first job as a journalist. Later to the editor of Tell magazine, they know me very well. Because I have to win 25 naira every week. I have to go to a particular NIPOS to go and send it for me. And I win it 4 consecutive times. Who is this guy that always, they have to call me. Upon even have an uncle there. And that was why, and many of us then, if this one is writing for this in year one. And that is the thing. And one thing about this profession is that when you go out and you meet people, forget you are going. True. But now, many of you, even the writing that can earn us, you cannot write. What you now have to do is this. Don't have that mentality that, okay, if I finish, I have to work in Galaxy, I have to work here, I have to write there. Within that, thank God that blogging is on ground. You can create, there are some certain gems of journalism that you can carve in it, and you do it in such of a way. For instance, now you don't need to have a broadcast station to broadcast. True. With your Facebook account.
Compared to before.
Compared to before. So you have to work, and I told them, come. Now, I don't want to teach the old mass com. What I teach now, I'm teaching the business aspect of mass communication. So that at the end of the day, when you go out with the little knowledge you have, you can use as a template, you put your own creativity on top of it, then you do business even with that. Before you know it, you find yourself anywhere that you really want to find yourself.
Okay.
If we can do that.
So that is one way out of the situation.
The first way that
acquisition.
Upgrade your skills. Very important. Number 2, we have a mindset that is wrong. A mindset that is wrong in the sense that if I meet Mr. Gbero today, the first thing that comes to mind is what can I benefit from him? If I can't benefit from him now, then I don't want the relationship. I don't want to see that relationship. That is wrong. That's a wrong mindset. I have not benefited something from him now, but he checks my status, he sees what I'm doing. Does not mean he can't recommend me to somebody in the nearest weeks, in the nearest future. So we have a short-term mentality that our people don't value networking. They value ethnicity instead of of networking. So, and if you don't, it is network that defines your net worth in this 21st century. It is your network that defines your net worth. So I'm talking to some of them see, there are some of us that the benefits we have at the moment, the things we're benefiting is actually from our network. This guy is tight, this guy, I had so person talk about so. Do you think you're interested? I don't have up to this, I have only 20%. Come on, I can talk to him. Then they see that you acquire so, and they think that you are lucky.
Can we break it down, because I like to carry the viewers along.
Okay.
Sorry, I butted in, Femi. I like to carry the viewers along as we discuss, because while we're talking about upgrading, acquiring skills, I don't want people to think that is only for people who are lettered, educated people.
No.
Because I find that there is also a vacuum with skills, or there's a name they call the artisans.
Yes.
Okay.
Artisans. It says, I recall there was a time I needed, was it a plumber? It took me time to find one.
Yeah, it will happen.
Do you understand? Yes. People are now shying away from
what they do is this.
Skilled labor. Is
Even
that what it's
those
called?
people that are artisan, to see children they are going to train,
It's
that
a
they will
problem.
be doing those little works you are talking about.
It's a problem.
Then another thing again is that look at somebody that was trained as a carpenter. You know there is difference between a carpenter and a furnisher.
True.
And there is difference between
furniture is a chair. You see,
in the town, a town there outside is the furniture. Now then internal decorator.
Interior
decorator is another thing. It's still the same job that they want to do. So if you are a carpenter, that the only thing is that when the roof is leaking, that is you want to work.
Or you know how to do colo.
So you will discover that by the time you move into working with upholstery, you now move to don't worry, even if you want to decorate your you just have somebody along. If you cannot get trained, that one is going to be like a passionate can do it. He will collect it holistically and now delegate it to that particular person. And you see a situation, somebody that's a big player. You know there is difference between a big player being an architect. Engineering is another field. But at this particular time, we are a bricklayer that don't want to sit at home. You will learn a bit of designing. You will learn a bit of engineering. You will be here a bit of supervision to be a supervisor. I will now accumulate everything together and be under the tutelage of some people for a period of months. Because it's a job, he has been dealing with them. Before you know it encapsulates everything. He will tell you, if you want to build this edifice, I'm going to be in charge, I'm going to take care of it. And he will now delegate it to where you want to delegate, and he will just supervise.
Okay.
So before you know it, it's a builder.
Let me add to what he was saying, or what he's saying rather. The point is, I was talking about networking, and the challenge I have with this our generation is that they have a mind of independence. They don't really want to. They don't want to be mentored by people. Once they earn something mega that they can flaunt, and everybody begins to feel that they have money, that courage or the humility to now calm down to learn more and earn more isn't there. So now, when I talk about networking, just like I said, if I am a bricklayer, the right thing for me to do is to not only network with bricklayers, but network with people that are into building. If someone is a carpenter and gets contract, and I'm his friend, and when I have an opportunity, I bring him. When he has an opportunity, he will bring me. I don't need to sit at home for so long. The truth is that even when COVID was high and every sector down-tooled, these people were still working. Because government knew that if they allow these people to pull out, then the informal economy will go down. But yet there are certain people that did not get any opportunity. Why? Because they just became so big that they can't even the person that even taught or tutored them, they became too big that they cannot even serve. We have a problem of pride. Now let me say something as regards networking. One, you must understand your career path. I teach youth this all the time, and the problem with our generation is that they see education as an end instead of a means to an end. So once you get a certificate, you think that okay, I have arrived. I don't want to. This is what I'm worth. I want 100k. See, I've taken jobs that were far lesser than what I was worth, because I knew that the owner of that job has influence in other places, and I just need to have his organization on my CV so that in the next 3-4 months I can present my CV also. But they don't want to think like that. They don't want. So they don't look at network.
Because of time.
Some people will forge a teacher because they will be thinking that you are talking about. I told somebody years that immediately I left secondary school, that I started as a teacher because I was a teacher, trained teacher, even before even going anywhere. And I said that. Then how much am I collecting? I'm collecting 700 naira as a teacher.
What year was that? Please?
Oh my God, that should be. And with that 700 naira, I now think that 700 naira. No, I can't sit down for 1 month and I say, okay, no. I now deliver a package. At that particular time, I know literature in English. Not now that it has become only few people understand. What I now do is that I now went to buy textbooks with that 700 naira after a month and look at prose, poetry, everything. I knew it for like back of my in my own tutorial for secondary school. I only want to teach English and English literature, and people were coming. And apart from that, I have a package. If you are a Muslim and you want tutorial for your kids, I can have Arabic knowledge to eat, but it's going to take like this. To the extent that those ones that you don't want their children to go out, they have to the extent I will tell you, I can't give your kids more than 2 days in a week. I now rationalize it. I have a timetable, 2 to 4, 4 to 6. So I won't come home until
is willing to be hardworking.
Wow.
How many of them are willing to be hardworking?
And another thing again is that if I go to your school to go and give them pep talk in the morning, you pay me. And how much did I collect then? I used to collect 100 naira. Now look, if I have to collect 100 naira in 3 schools times 5 in a week, then if you want to do a debating whatever, you want me to organize it, I have a charge for it. It's 600 naira. Wow. So other time they need to be creative as a teacher. So
all right,
they can
bottom line, gentlemen, bottom line viewers, is the fact that blue collar jobs, according to our conversations, they're going extinct, whether you accept it or not. So it's about skills that you can acquire, things that are that are yours, that you can upgrade, you can improve upon. That is the next level, because if 27.4 million Nigerians are earning 8,300 naira a month, that's 100k in a year. What are you actually going to buy with that in an average family for a month? What are you going to buy? What are you going to eat? And inside all of that is the education of the children, is the healthcare, is everything. I mean, that is just not. It's something I can't even figure out. So we all have to up our ante a bit more and look at ways we can improve whatever field you find yourself. Be you a tailor, be you a barber, be you a washerman, whatever you are, whoever you are, even that person who works in the bank, myself who works here, everybody, you need to look inwards, look for skills you can acquire that will better your crafts, up your, income, yes, a bit, so that we can all have access to a better quality of life, because right now it's just not it's not looking like it. I mean, simple things like access to clean water, to education, healthcare, like a good standard of living is like unreachable for the majority of Nigerians.